Super Ultra NaNoWriMo Tournament. 50,000 words, 1 hour.
Hey, you're listening to 507.933 and we're Link's Pro Riders, covering all the hot riding and cutthroat tournaments this side of George R.R. Martin. I'm Todd Matthews, and joining me at this post-writing report is Dave Seivert, and we're covering what might be the greatest writing performance in the history of the written word.
Yes, we're here live at the Super Ultra NaNoWriMo Tournament here in beautiful Jackson Hole, WY, where writers race to finish their 50K story in 4 quarters of writing sessions. The crowd is going utterly bananas as right now we're witnessing history in the making, folks.
I have never seen a performance like the one we've seen tonight, everybody. I am blown away by the level of writing athleticism and witticism on display from our talented writers here in Jackson Hole. They're all winners, every single one of them, but one contestant stands over them all. His fingers like lightning across the keyboard, his penmanship like thunder on the paper.
You know him, listeners, you know his face, you've read his work, and you've heard all the legends straight from his own mouth. Tonight, all eyes are on Chad Thunderpen Quills, who came to win tonight and finished his 50K story in less than 10 minutes.
Chad Thunderpen Quills.
He was amazing, Dave. His skills utterly floor me. Quills was a man on a mission tonight, and he completed that mission with the highest honors and the greatest result I have ever seen. All the players came in hot and ready, Dave, but with Quills on the field, everyone else was fighting for second tonight.
They sure were, Don. And we're now going to check in with our reporter on the field, Mr. Pen Pencil, for an exclusive interview with the legend himself. Pen?
Thank you, Dave. I'm standing right here with Chad Quills himself, hot off the notebook, after finishing his 50,000-word story in a record-breaking 9 minutes and 47 seconds. Everyone here is absolutely loving this energy. Mr. Quills, they call you the Thunderpen, but you went above and beyond tonight in showcasing your incredible writing velocity and mental fortitude tonight. What was going on in your mind as you were writing your story, Quills?
Well, I just got my pen and wrote, giving it all I got, and, just wrote all I could as quickly as I could, giving it all I got, and all that, and, writing as good as I could, Pen, giving it everything I had.
I can certainly understand that mindset, Quills, but after writing an average of 85.2 words a second and 5,110.7 words a minute, I'd say your performance here in Jackson Hole completely exemplifies the zealous devotion and astounding workmanship a writing connoisseur like yourself has to offer, wouldn't you say?
I just got my pen and wrote, man. Got everything I wanted out of that tonight. Yeah, writing as good as I could, Pen. I came here looking to have a good time, and yeah, I sure managed that tonight, Pen.
Well, what inspiring words from such an accomplished and dedicated writer here at the Super Ultra NaNoWriMo Tournament. Is there anybody you'd like to express your gratitude toward that aided you in your efforts over this writing season?
Well, I'd like to thank my mama for always being there for me from day one, and I'd like to thank all my critics for really pissing me off, made me want to show those punks who's boss, and, of course, I gotta thank the Lord. The landlord, the one who lets me stay in my apartment for all these years. And I gotta thank the man upstairs, my neighbor Phil. He always loved my writing, he's so supportive. He's great. He reads through these stories just about as fast as I can write them, And of course, I have to thank my Heavenly Father. May you rest in peace, Pop. Always love you, old Pops. Even though you weren't always there for me and Mama.
Wow, how humble of you to thank so many people.
Well, there's no I in the word writing.
There absolutely isn't, Quills. And that's it for us tonight, listeners. I'm Pen Pencil at Link's Pro Writers, and you're listening to our live coverage of the tournament here in beautiful Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Hey, I just realized your name is like Pen Pencil. Like what writers use, like I use one tonight.
What an insightful acknowledgement, Quills.
Super Ultra NaNoWriMo Tournament. 50,000 words, 1 hour, 1 winner.
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of the Writ, the show where us two twits claim to know everything about writing only because no one else can define the word for us.
Isn't that the truth?
What is writing? Like, I know I've kind of said that's basically anything creative, but Like, I might have mentioned this on the show before, but I've recently changed my beard. Is that writting?
I mean, well, okay. I would say that if it requires some skill of like artistic dexterity to like draw a design into your beard or something, that might count. But I don't know if just like changing your facial hair.
I didn't like write a shape into my beard. I just did like, okay,
So,
it looks good
I guess
on my face
it
this
doesn't
way.
count writting.
Yeah, no, it's not like there's a cool pattern in it, like a spiral or something.
Well, I mean, I think more than anything else, the decision that we've come to of the two twits of the right way have come to is that it's something creatively based.
Yes.
So if you're using more creativity than usual, then it could count as writting. I don't consider all of my instrument practice writting, but if I'm trying to make personal stylistic choices, if I'm choosing which path different from other people, trying to make it my own, then that should count.
Right. Okay, that makes
sense. Try not
sense.
to use this every time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that the word is so versatile. But
Exactly.
it does
But
have
that's
limits,
because,
like any
but
word.
no one else can define the word for us, so that's why we're experts at writting.
Writ is a word, but it's not what we use it for. Writting is not a word, but writ is a
Writting
word.
is not a word, no.
I forgot what the word
All
writ
right.
means, but I think it's a noun, while we use it as like a verb.
Writ replies. Wow. Writ implies. There we go. Something that has previously been, scratched, scribbled down, so to speak. Writ.
Okay. All right.
I believe.
Well, there you go.
I'd have to consult Oxford. I'd have to consult the Websford thesaurus or something on this. But,
That's right. The good old
other than that-
Websford. I remember.
Websford.
I think actually, for the old poster that this podcast had, the one that was like on the parchment, there was a part under the writ part. I had like a red squiggly line that was like misspelled. I actually had to add that in because it actually didn't say it was misspelled, and that's when I found out that it's actually a real word.
Well, I knew writ was a wheel. I knew writ was a wheel word, right? I knew writ was a real word.
I knew wit was a real word. Well, I love that word, wit.
Oh my gosh, we're turning into Elmer Fudd.
I'm hunting wabbits.
All right, let's stop beating around the bush and go to our usual segments.
Yes.
Welcome, listeners, to a new set of episodes. We'll get into the topic in a little bit. I mean, if you're listening to this after we've recorded, you'll probably see the title already and know what we're talking about.
No, they're listening to this before we've recorded. Time travel.
Time travel. Right. All right. So we'll go into our usual segments. Because this is the first one of a new set, we're going to talk about what we will rip off from this month. And
Yes.
I went first last set. So,
Yes.
Donald, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Yay, I like being first. I'm not a very I'm not a role model, guys. Don't be like me. Okay, so I've been on an old game spree lately, like discovering lost copies of nostalgic computer games and working with them to make them compatible with my modern system. Like doing
Wait,
the whole, like,
you mean like the actual discs and like discovering them from the black hole that was your couch?
Actually, a friend of mine showed me this website that's like oldgames.net or something like that. And there's like tens of thousands, and you get like a subscription for the website to get.
So it's
a certain
kind of
number
like
downloads.
Steam, but for antique kind of.
Yeah, and like they're free, but you have to pay like monthly sort of.
No,
thing
they're
for the
free,
website.
but you have to pay. That's a
Well, I know, but, like,
contradiction.
Well, it's like free to play on a mobile game. It's like I don't know. Anyways, one of the games that I managed to get, I really had fun with this. I really had fun with these games. One of them, I can talk, guys. Okay, one of the games I really had fun with. Or I guess what's confusing me because I actually have two games here. So two of the games I really had fun with
sure.
were two installments of Bullfrog's theme park series. So
Bullfrogs.
yeah, that's it's an old publisher. They also made Dungeon Keeper, not publisher, developer. They made Dungeon Keeper. They made Theme Hospital.
Whoa. Okay.
They made a bunch of old games. They got pulled into EA. Then they're one of the EA games fatalities. So
Gotcha.
So it's a shame.
One of the casualties of EA.
That's the word I
becoming
meant.
such a giant-
Casualties. Yeah. It's not Mortal Kombat.
Well, I mean, it might as well be amongst these game developers.
Or the super ultra like NaNoWriMo
Unreal Tournament.
Yeah. So anyways, so the first installment of these games, it's just called Theme Park. It was a very old amusement park management game. It was actually the first one ever. It predated Roller Coaster Tycoon by 5 years.
Wow.
So, I never played that one, but I did play its 2 sequels a lot as a kid. Sim Theme Park and Sim Coaster. In other parts of the world, they're called Theme Park World and Theme Park Inc. So, respectively.
So that's why you brought up Bullfrogs, because they were in charge of that, I guess. I didn't realize that, honestly.
What, like, oh, you mean Bullfrog the company was in charge of that, yes.
Yeah. No, I thought you were referring to
I thought you meant, like,
animal.
actual bullfrogs. That's fine.
Lord, spare me. Okay, anyway.
I wonder why there were so many mini games in this where you catch a bunch of flies, but well. Anyways, so or there was like a maelstrom of frogs. What? No, that's salamanders.
There's a maelstrom of salamanders. For more on that, no, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you know, it's a new set. For more on that, listen to episode 25 of the Writ.
Was it 25?
Yes, yeah, I remember. It's the one where, like, avoiding overused words. Anyway.
Oh my god. That's right. It was a fun episode.
It was our longest one, too. It was almost 2.5 hours.
Well, okay, if you put these sets together, this would be longer, but yeah, individual episode-wise, that was...
Right, anyways. So, anyways, what I really like about these games compared to Roller Coaster Tycoon is that these parks that you build are really theme parks. Like, they have, the different parks have these overarching themes, like, and they're like Halloween World, Space Zone, Wonderland, Lost Kingdom, Polar Zone, Arabian Nights.
I'm gonna stop you right here because I'm curious. You mentioned a bunch of different games. Is this from Theme Park or is this from like Sim Theme Park, which I remember watching you play?
This is not Theme Park. All right, so the 4 from Sim Theme Park are Lost Kingdom, Halloween World, Wonderland, and Space Zone. And then the 3 from Sim Coaster are Land of Invention, Polar Zone, and Arabian Nights.
Gotcha. Okay,
So,
sorry for the interruption.
No,
Please
no worries.
Continue.
All right. So anyways, like these themes, they're present throughout the entire park. Like the rides, shops, sideshows, and scenery items have different designs based on the theme. Like the bouncy castle, for instance, is a long-necked dinosaur's belly in Lost Kingdom.
They didn't have bouncy castles in RCT. I wish they had.
Yeah, no, they're pretty fun. But anyways, there was also a giant sultan's hat in Arabian Nights.
Oh,
and
great.
It's a big brain in Halloween World.
Makes sense to me.
Even the trash cans are themed.
Oh, gosh.
They're like these frog mouths in Wonderland, genie lamps in Arabian Nights, those poor genies.
The genies will never get out.
And robot heads in Space Zone. So the consistency of in each of these parks' themes reaches every area imaginable. Like it's really cool. Like in Land of Invention, it's like a steampunk sort of one. The drink shop looks like just a formula in like a vial.
Wait, you mean the drinks that they sell?
No, like the stands in these games are like giant versions of what they're of what, just to show what it is. Like the fries shop looks like a giant thing of fries. So
true. That commitment to a theme is really, really important when you have a very different world, and so I could see why that'd be really inspirational.
Like the burger shop in Halloween World is like a big burger on the top, but instead of a meat patty, there's like a bat flapping its wings. So,
I wouldn't be surprised if they had like tried doing the zombie angle. Although this game was made before zombie craze was a thing.
Yeah, but there were zombies back then.
But the patty's like walking around trying to eat your brains, and
in all of them they have these
spilling out as if it were blood.
They all have these entertainers, and they're all like themed based on like various like the Halloween entertainers are like because in Roller Coaster Tycoon you can have entertainers, and they're usually like different animals.
Sure.
Or like you can get
some
you
themed have
ones.
Several costumes to choose from. That's right.
Yeah, but like in these, like the Halloween World, you got like Frankenstein's monsters. You've got hunchbacks, and you've got vampires. So
makes sense.
And then like
with Halloween, you've got a lot more character choices, I assume too.
Right.
I don't know how they do that with Arabian Nights, for example. But I'm not concerned. I'm just saying.
Well, they did cheat a little, and there's a lot of Egypt as well as Arabia in there. So,
gotcha.
Like there's
slantly related. It's something that it thematically resembles, but it's not taken from the same source because sometimes you just don't have enough, right? You don't have enough material.
Right, exactly. But
Like,
yeah.
obviously, we think this episode won't, otherwise we wouldn't be, BSing so much.
Yeah, this has been a really big BSing one so far. So,
Okay.
well, at least it keeps the
Moving
episodes
on.
an interesting length. Anyway, so the consistency in each of these parks' themes reaches every area imaginable. And, like, in a weird way, I know this is like an odd ripoff because it's like a business management game I'm going to use to rip off
Yeah.
for my future sci-fi and fantasy stories. Like, the consistency is what I'd kind of like to rip off in a fantasy or sci-fi story of mine. If my future works have gimmicks like as far-reaching as dinosaurs with laser guns, exploit the hell out of that gimmick in ways the readers might not expect. Like, even in Megazoic, I could have gone a little further.
Maybe so.
Like a lot of
More
it is...
on that, you should read it, which you can buy it on
Yes.
Amazon.com.
Okay, 2 more, and then I'm putting the foot down for this episode. No more. Imposing a limit. Anyways, yeah, so I think that'd be cool. Anyways, that's what I've got. What do you got, David?
Yeah, I've been keeping busy. I finally got back onto Netflix and watching some more stuff there. There are a couple of animes I'm watching, and it like throw it out. With Netflix Japan, they have access to a lot more anime that probably aren't available in the other parts of the world.
I'd assume
Unfortunately, all of the shows are in Japanese, and so you'd have to watch it in Japanese. You couldn't watch if there was a dub, you couldn't watch that version.
Right.
And I watched them with Japanese subtitles. And the show that comes to mind here is a show that is in the U.S. It was released and called Dinosaur King. It's actually
Whoa!
yeah. Sorry, I'm going.
Sorry,
I'm going
just
off
hear
script for
dinosaurs,
this,
I'm
actually.
automatically interested.
Yeah, I'm going off script a little for this one.
That's fine.
Dinosaur King is anime, but like the dinosaur. Well, okay, sorry. A little bit of fun about the show. I'm not actually going to rip much off from this because I'm not the dinosaur nerd of the two of us.
Right,
obviously,
but there's so much material. That's fine.
no, I'm not saying there isn't. They do a very good job. Like every episode, if there's a new dinosaur is introduced, they'll do like a introduction. At the end of the episode, they have this corner. They call it a corner. It's just this segment that they introduce the dinosaur, what its name means, where it was discovered, when it lived, how
I've discovered
like,
my
size
new
and stuff.
my new stepping stone into anime, stepping into series.
Well, and to be fair, this is in the Japanese version. I don't know if they have it in the American one because
Well,
I did watch some of the English dub as a kid.
Right.
I
I think
remember
I
that,
prefer
because
subs over dubs based on my limited experience. Like just because. Like,
Well, I believe that it's best to experience a program in its native language because that way you get the best intent. That
wait, did I
said-
say dubs over subs? I meant subs.
No, you
over
said
dubs.
subs over dubs.
Okay,
You
good.
said subs over dubs. What
Okay.
I'm going to add to that, though, is that with the dub, I personally believe that subs are a better way to consume a show because dubbing
Yes.
inherently is really difficult.
Yes.
You have to try and match up lines, and with live action, it's really effing hard. With anime,
Right.
you could get away with a little bit more. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. I appreciate the labor of love that dubbing is. Because it is really difficult. They wouldn't do it if it wasn't something they enjoyed, if it wasn't a passion project.
Right,
so
right.
hats off to the people who are trying their best to make it work. And there are some times that like certain character voices are better in a dub than they are in the original. Or maybe I just
it makes
like
sense.
them more. That said, I prefer subs because I can understand better what the original intent was, what the emotion is supposed to be, because it's in its native language.
Right, and plus I think most dubs that I've heard are kind of cheesy, so that's kind of.
Well,
But-
you get this impression that dubs are kind of like the joke. They're kind
Right.
of just for fun,
But-
they're poking fun rather than being serious.
Right.
Now, there are serious dubs. I don't want to say that, but
Right, but like for me, it's when they try to take it seriously that actually makes it the most corny to me. So I'm just biased.
well,
I guess.
that's. I guess it depends on the show being adapted as well.
Right.
However, I'm not ripping off the anime, but to explain this for Donald's sake, which is why I'm bringing
Yes.
it up.
Yes,
they
please.
they have two modes for the dinosaurs in this show. There's like this chibified pet size form that's really cute and hand drawn,
Aw,
and
like
then they have
Pokemon.
this. Well, kind of, but not because
Yeah.
the size doesn't really vary.
Right.
But when they but when
like
they are
Pikachu. Just the one Pokemon. Okay, sorry, go on.
So if the originally they're kept in card form, and there is a certain
like
stone
Digimon
with a reader. in a way, I suppose. Although Digimon aren't cards, they're just data. Thank you for making.
What's the one that's cards?
That
It's Yu-Gi-Oh.
reference.
That's what I meant.
Yu-Gi-Oh is cards. And I'm just going to keep reminding listeners that all of these shows I loved when I was a kid. Anyway,
Yes.
well, okay, not true. I liked the games of Pokemon. The show was meh.
And
But I did like
Digimon.
Digimon. I liked Digimon, the show.
Oh,
The games are just kind of weird to me, but Digimon had a good story.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I keep tangenting because
Sorry, yeah, we're
Donald
like 20
over here-
minutes into this episode. We haven't even talked about the May. This is like one of our old episodes.
This is. Okay, so real quick, the last thing on the tangent that Donald started me on. Digimon has a better story. Pokemon, the games have more fun gameplay. That's why I like both of them differently. Yu-Gi-Oh! I had cards. I liked the show. End of that story. But anyways, the dinosaurs in Dinosaur King are
Which is also another
originally
tangent
from
you're
cards.
doing, too, because that's not under what you're going to rip off. But
Well, it's not written on here, but I've been watching it, so I'm explaining it for your benefit. So shut up and let me go.
All right, fine, sorry.
So they have these special symbols that you can swipe the card, and you can do two modes. You have the chibi version, which of course is anime. The art style matches, really cute. And then they have the other mode, which is battle, which was their original intent, and it's actually like a full-fledged dinosaur, like CGI and everything. And the dinosaurs are freaking incredible. Obviously not possible because some of them are powered by elements like fire and thunder. Lightning, water and stuff. Like, that's not realistic. But it is really freaking cool.
That is
cool. Really freaking cool. So, like, if you have two dinosaurs in conflict, the sky changes color because you turn into this place called Battlefield.
Just like it was in prehistoric times.
Well, it's more like prehistoric times. It doesn't change everything. They're
Right.
Anyways, Donald, you're a dinosaur nerd. You should check out this show.
I will.
I'm not going to rip much off from it, but you might find a lot to rip off.
I want to see like a Triceratops with lightning powers. I want to.
It is the Triceratops that has the lightning powers.
Nice. Okay, let's see.
Anyway.
I need to go more obscure. I need to see a Nasutoceratops with fire powers, a Medusaceratops with water powers.
So you've got fire, water,
what are the elements?
ground,
Brown, like
lightning,
poop?
ground, as in like
ground.
earth,
Okay, like poop. No, I'm just kidding.
lightning, leaf or grass. I suppose is probably the better way to say it.
Ooh, irony!
And
A T-Rex with
wind.
leaf powers.
Well, the T-Rex has fire powers because go figure.
Right. well,
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
now,
no.
What are you
And
actually
watch
gonna rip
watch
off?
the show, Donald,
Will
please.
do.
Anyway, the one I actually am planning to rip off was not on Netflix at all.
Okay, I did see it. Okay, no,
It's this show. It's this show called Ultraman Mabius. Yes, the pronunciation is like the Japanese would say the strip, the Mabius strip.
Yeah.
Specifically, this one idea that I've noticed in the show. Putting out a hit on someone simply suggests you can't get it done yourself. Like, seriously, why would you go to the trouble of giving someone else a reward if you could accomplish it alone?
I don't know, laziness.
Yet evil dictator-type space villains never seem to understand this. Another show that uses that same concept is the show Gokaiger, which is near and dear to my heart. Specifically, what I'm not ripping off from Mabius is how they selected what history to honor and which to skip, despite, the production celebrating 40 years of the Ultra series.
Right.
Long story short, there are multiple timelines that aren't necessarily, pieced together. They aren't congruous.
Right.
And eras at work. So it's thoughtful in its own way. Oh, in this timeline, these are the things that happened. But it's annoying to see, even though I only have limited knowledge of the series, it's just like, well, what the heck? You're ignoring, like, the 90s. What the heck is this?
Yeah.
So.
Hey, so I got a joke, by the way.
Sure.
Why did the chicken cross the Mobius strip? To get to the same side.
To get to the same side.
I just thought that with Ultraman Mebius.
Mebius,
the
yeah.
way they pronounce
Well,
Mobius.
Right. It's the way they pronounce. It's the way they pronounce it.
Yeah.
Which actually, given the letter, the Germanic letter, it's actually really close to the pronunciation because it'd actually be Mabius.
Oh, well, there you go.
Mabius. So it does sound pretty close. But anyway, even with my limited knowledge of the series, having them skip like an entire era, decades worth of productions is just really dumb. So, anyways, sorry for dragging that out for like next to no reason, but we're going to move on to our new topic, our new set of topics, which is some things that occur outside of your story.
Right, outside the main narrative.
So you've got your main narrative, and you've got these things. We're going to talk more about that. So
we're going to talk about we're going to talk about prologues. We're going to talk about interludes. We're going to talk about supplements and ancillary material, and we're going to talk about epilogues finally. So
you are deciding that for order.
Yeah, just because that last one, so
okay.
So,
well,
so
all right, but
now
anyway.
we can use the.
So yes, so we're going to make much ado about those things. This time we'll start with prologues.
Once upon a prologue,
or as I prefer to, or as I prefer to call it, world building for newbies.
Indeed. Or like, this is the backstory that.
This is the thing you must know.
Pay attention.
There will be a test.
Yeah, I was about to say, there will be a quiz on this later.
All right. So yes, prologues. Obviously, you put them before, otherwise it wouldn't be a prologue.
No! Sorry.
Well, anyways.
Sorry, that was me.
I just realized I stole your segue anyways, so sorry.
That's okay, yeah. So the reason why one of the reasons why I want to talk about this, so my final Megazoic book, An Era's End, which should come out, next month or so. I'm counting that as an edit thing, by the way, so one more cheap plug.
What? Come on! It's a different sound.
Okay, fine, I won't count it. 2 more, all right, for this episode. One more, actually, because this episode's probably going to end soon, so... You know what? No more. I'm putting my foot down.
Well, okay.
My final Megazoic book, An Era's End, is coming out next month, and here's a fun and relevant bit of info about it. That's a little bit of a inside scoop. It's the only installment of the series that starts with a prologue. I'm not going to say why, I don't want to get into details, because, spoilers and such, but...
Yeah, you don't want to do that in too much.
But yeah, so...
Especially if readers aren't caught up on the series yet, so...
You really want to use up one of those...
I didn't! I'm just saying!
I know, but it looked like you were going to, so I'm like, you really want to do that? You've got a limited number.
You're trying to limit my writting ability? How dare you?
I guess it's all about expression, so that's what all writing is about. So. Alright, so we thought we'd talk a little bit about prologues this week, our first in a series of talking about, like we said, talking about the narrative sections outside of the main texts. So, prologues. Yep. When to utilize them?
So,
obviously at the beginning.
Yeah.
But when should they be there at all is what we mean to...
Yeah, honestly, what's the best condition for necessitating a prologue, that kind of thing. So, what do you got, Donald?
Well, what I've got is, basically you should put them in when there's important backstory to be obtained. They can range from seeing the main characters as kids, as TV tropes call it a minor kid reduction. Minor spelled, of course it's normally spelled like that, but so it's
right, but it's a double. Okay, got it.
It's double meaning.
Go for it.
And then learning some useful information about their life, like to seeing the origins of the entire world and the big plan of the main bad guy, like in Lord of the Rings. It began with the forging of the rings. 3 were given to the elves. I'm not gonna go do the whole thing, but
sure.
7 were given to the dwarf lords, 9 were given to the races of men, but they were all deceived, for another ring was made. Okay, we're good. Okay.
Alright, moving on.
In the land of Mordor... No, I'm sorry. Okay. Above everything else, keep it interesting. Many times it's better to just start with the main action and learn the backstory through exposition throughout the text. So really justify your prologue's existence, I say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. However, to add just a little bit of something, if something crucial to your narrative can't simply be told in flashback, then it might belong in a prologue.
Right.
Because if it can be told in flashback, then why not start in medias res?
Right, yes. In the middle
Prologues are notorious for info dumping. So if you
Yes.
have a brand new world and you'd like the readers to have some space to digest all of that information, like natural laws, order of the way your universe works, that kind of thing, come up with some scene that will impact the story later, allowing you the opportunity to showcase just how different this world is before you keep a tighter narrative in the rest of your...
Right. Like, for me, for instance, like, I like to use, when there's stuff about the world that, like, is, like, things are different about it, then, like, I like to point out when it's important. Like, in Megazoic, yeah, I'm feeling vindictive. Buy on Amazon.com. One left, David!
You are feeling vindictive, wow.
Okay. In Megazoic, it's mentioned. So one of the things about this world is that the dinosaurs reproduce through labs. Each dinosaur creates gives some of their blood to these labs, and you use all the storage of blood and DNA to genetically create a dinosaur in the lab. And the reason why, so that way dinosaurs of different species can be together and have kids. So, I don't mention this until we first meet King Tyranno of the Tyranian Kingdom and his son Dranax, who are both different species.
Who is a Suchomimus, which is not even close to Triceratops, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of what I like. So, I mean, not that a prologue would really be necessary for that, but it's just sort of an example for...
expressly for that, but that's in a circumstance where you used it in the story, which is a reason you wouldn't need it in a prologue.
Right.
You introduced it as it became relevant. If you can't do that in the main thread of your story, then maybe it does belong in a prologue if you have to have it known before the story starts.
Yeah, I could say so.
On the flip side of that,
yes,
because prologues are known for info dumping, when are they best avoided?
Ooh, when are they best avoided? When the action is mainly centered around your main characters in the present day is what I say. Say your standard romantic comedy doesn't need a prologue.
Fair enough. They haven't met yet. That's not much of a prologue because that's the conflict itself, right? They meet, exactly. Things happen.
Yes. Having a prologue to explain backstory about your characters isn't often necessary. We can just mention it in passing a narrative, like I say. And also, if it's the first installment of a fantasy series and the prologue is about the origins of the world, maybe save that for later. People won't care. People won't care about the world if they don't care about anyone who lives in it yet. So
sure. If they have no reason to be invested in the world, why would they want to read the alternate history about it first?
If you must have this big sort of epic sort of universe building thing, put it in the back as a supplementary material, which we will talk about in a couple weeks.
We will. Oh, you're taking away my last one too.
No, okay, I'm not counting those. So okay, we got one. Still got one more left. Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyway. So ancillary materials, encyclopedias. There is a mutual online friend of ours who has a wonderful time writing alternate histories.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Stories that, yeah. I knew you figured it out. I'm just
our friend from the south. Just leave it at that.
Mutual online friend. Yes. Anyway, so yeah, he puts a lot of time and effort into these stories, and it's great. To have the dedication to live up to something like that. But it's awfully dry reading.
Yes. Because
we don't see characters.
Right.
We don't know particularly who's worth following. Oh, we've seen that name before now, so why we actually want to read this to figure out what happened, kind of thing.
Right.
Just to pick on that. We love you, buddy. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Please keep listening.
And keep writing too, because it's.
We'll talk more about this in that upcoming episode, I think.
Sorry, we'll save that extra discussion for later.
Yes,
but yes, literally any other circumstances than the ones we described above, you should probably avoid a prologue.
Yeah,
they can be helpful, but otherwise they just bog your page count down if they're not handled properly. And I don't know about you, but given my experience with NaNoWriMo and stuff, I tend to get awfully wordy, and it becomes this, mess. It becomes this long, drawn-out, irresponsibly unnecessary thing. So why do I have it at all?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Speaking of unnecessary, though, here's a question. Point blank, is it, this case of Prologue, necessary?
I'd say mostly not. Which is why when you do use it, you really got to justify why, like I said. So not to get too deep into spoilers for a Megazoic and Era's End, the prologue is useful backstory about the villain, and also gives an opportunity to learn about certain characters before they become important later. So,
sure.
That's all I'll say.
When you say justify why, my question is, when you say justify, do you mean for the audience's sake, like within the text itself, or do you mean for your own, why you're writing it?
I'd say both, but mostly for your own.
But mostly for... Okay, I just wanted to check about that.
Yeah, no worries.
I'd say that prologues are necessary if you want some, like, end-level event to establish things.
Right.
But if there's any chance for characters to linger and simply retell the story... Excuse me, don't tell, show us. But, in the proper tale itself, then it probably isn't necessary.
Yes.
If you have a massive extinction of whatever kind, like the nuke ended the town, then you probably don't have a lingering character to tell about why the nuke was sent in the first place and all that stuff. So, maybe you do need a prologue in that event. But, I just don't think that if you have some thread that you can connect it to, that it's necessary at all.
Right.
If that makes sense.
So,
all right. But
yes.
If you are going to use one, this is something that's probably individual for every writer, but with a grain of salt because we are better than you listeners. How big of a time gap is necessary or acceptable before prologue is simply part of your narrative?
I'd say all you need is a few minutes. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
A few minutes later, right. Yes.
Well, it
really
varies.
A prologue
It varies, though, but usually years, I reckon. And that's all I'm going to say. Actually, I had something here about something else, but I don't want to spoil anything, so...
Oh, come on! I was going to make a joke on it if you did, but that's okay.
All right, fine. Listeners, cover your ears.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, that's right, we have the siren. Oh my god, all these edited sound... Ah!
I promise I won't. I'll try not to add any more in on my behalf.
Hey, if you want to hear where we came up with the edited sounds, listen to the last episode sometime before it. We used it. Damn.
So I guess we're gonna have to leave in our homemade low budget sounds. Ding.
I mean, that's true. Oh, dang, it doesn't count because I didn't say the exact episode. No.
Stop being vindictive. Move on.
All right, for an Era's End, I guess this number has been noteworthy throughout the whole series. If you want to read more, listen to it on Amazon.com. Boom!
Please do.
Read it on Amazon.com. That's what I meant.
Read it? How about buy it?
Buy it on Amazon.com.
Moving on. Are you saying this or not?
The prologue takes place 80 million years before the main action. Probably some sort of record. Actually, no, some dumb anime is probably like billions of years before. The elder gods were like...
Well, I mean, comic books, you probably see larger gaps in some places. But, anyways, I'd say that it needs to be more than immediate, but the proper length depends on your skip. For example, it could be months, or it could be decades, or apparently, if you're a dinosaur nerd, millions of years, because science! But too close to the story, and why is it a prologue at all?
Right.
Some time passes, and maybe it gives you immediate setup in the main story once you get started for real. So, 5 years have passed since D-Day, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 years have passed since D-Day, and that's when we discovered the alien artifact.
And there was this one piece of the saucer left over.
Sorry, that's disrespectful to any veterans out there. I apologize.
What?
That you did a great sacrifice there, storming that beach. I didn't mean to dismantle your noble act with some silly nonsense about aliens.
I apologize. That was my fault for randomly using D-Day. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Good on you guys. You done good.
You done good, and you missed
That's
the
what-
aliens. Anyways,
Oh my god.
I am so sorry.
Alright, for more on disrespecting the veterans now.
What? We've done that before?
Every week, don't you know? No.
Don't you know? Well, back when we weren't weekly, maybe, but I don't remember. Anyway.
God, we're ranting. And even then, this is actually still not 40 minutes yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we're so concerned about this.
You know, I like them all to be the same length. Make it seem like we got some meat, even though most of it's just, spam at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Okay, I don't know about spam. It's not like we're not talking about stuff that's worthwhile, except for bad jokes about, wars and whatnot. But,
Yeah.
these things. I mean, do you have anything more you'd like to add about prologues in general?
You keep them brief. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Sometimes the lengthy, for sometimes, it can be longer, but, again, you really have to justify it. And also, I'd say, I don't know, I think it's better, to save it. Again, this is just what I've done. But, none of the other Megazoic books have prologues other than the final one. So...
Well, and that's only because, and this is not spoilery either, so... that's only because it's really the only one that necessitates having something like it.
Right, exactly. And plus, I thought it was cool.
Well, and it's very, it's kind of backwards if you think about it. It was save the prologue for the last book,
Basically. Chronologically, this is the thing that came first.
Sure. While we're on the subject, though, it kind of fits. Maybe we should, throw in a little bit about recaps.
Well, I've done some of those too. It was actually my publisher's suggestion. Well, it was my editor's suggestion.
The story so far, which is not a full, prologue, but, for sequels, for subsequent installments, you're trying to catch people up, because you can't guarantee that everybody has read the original first.
Yeah, my editor was the one who suggested that I do those for Megazoic, so I did. And let me tell you, they are a bitch to write. They are so...
They are. I mean...
So boring. So you
have to keep it brief enough that it doesn't, it shouldn't be any more than 5 pages.
Right.
If it's more than 5 pages, your story was really long, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it's really long to need that much time to do the plot summary, the Cliff Notes version.
Well, but the challenge for me,
you also have to try and avoid spoilers and stuff. Well, somewhat. You don't need all of the information, so you have to figure out what information to include, right?
Right. Yeah. So, So. Well, the issue for me, though, with mine, Megazoic, is that for each sequel that came out, the story so far segments risked getting longer, so I had to...
well, especially if you include the original one, plus now we got the next book to summarize, last one, now
what I decided to do was, for each... So, for the third one, the story so far has the events of the first book told very briefly, and then segueing into the events of the second book. And then for the final book, I'm going to have events for the first 2 books, are kind of thrown in the necessary backstory is there, but it's mainly the events of the last book that I mentioned in these stories so far, and the rest of it's just getting you up to speed. So I don't do all of the books each time. I mean, I do.
Well, if you did all of the books each time, it would just tack on and get inexorably
adding to that sweet page count.
Yeah, I know. Well, if page count's your ultimate measure of success, then that's one thing, but I don't think it's necessarily a good strategy for writing.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be beholden to a certain page count. If you are beholden to a certain page count, then you miss the chance to have natural pacing. You miss the chance to... because you might end up changing some things to stunt or extend the plot itself, and so it just becomes a bit of a thorny area when you're looking to this is my target. Right. Just tell the story you're trying to tell. Sorry, that has little to do with prologues or recaps, but because it's included within the same book, inside the cover, it does certainly have its own weight.
I'd say so.
As far as recaps go, with series, it's kind of tough, particularly once you get past like threequels and stuff.
Right.
Because now you have to get just enough of the first, most of the second for the first time in that condensed form to set up the third. Now, how far do you assume the readers aren't catching up with you, that they haven't read through the first book by the time they pick up the most recent installment?
Right, exactly.
And so there's also that too. One thing that comes to mind is that if a sequel has a massive time jump,
right.
you could use the recap as a way to, like, the recap says, such and such happened, it's been 5 years, open to the next page.
Maybe, yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a recap separate from a prologue, but it works as a prologue.
Right.
Which is why I thought it might be good to bring it up.
Okay. I see no problem with that.
Anything else to add about recaps? Aside from the fact they are hard to write, so be concise. As concise as you can make it.
Yeah, concise not only for your sake, but for the reader's sake, because most of them will probably skip it, so it's only for the people that...
It's only for the people that care, but if you add too much, then even the people that care will be hard-pressed to want to read the whole thing.
Right, exactly. I got something in my throat. Podcast juice.
It's an amazing invention, which is not really an invention at all.
What is wrong with my throat? What's in there? I'm gonna vomit up a fly. Watch, it just goes flying off. Speaking of bullfrogs, but anyways, what's going on? That's it for this week, guys.
Are you gonna be okay?
I don't know.
Let me go ahead and do the closeout, and
yes,
that way
please
you
do
have
do
to
it.
mute yourself. Okay. All right. With that said, prologues, recaps, preliminary type stuffs. If there's anything we missed, please let us know. How can you do that? Simple. Contact us at Matt D, that's with 2 T's before the D, thank you, at MatthewDonaldCreator.com. Specifically this episode, any general questions to either co-host, feedback for the show. Because we share Matt D in common, please use the Donald or David tag to specify one of us if that's important.
Makes sense.
There are also ways to follow Donald on professional social media accounts.
Yes. Follow me at Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, at Matthew Donald 64 on Twitter, and Matthew Donald 64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many moles I've had surgically removed off my face. And therefore I have 64 big, gross splotches defiling my face. I'm a real ugly piece of work, David.
And this is why, listeners, we have never provided video.
I mean, if you want to see,
exactly
if you want to see my face, go to my professional Facebook account.
Oh, you are vindictive. You're letting yourself do one. No,
actually, no. This is backfiring on me. I have to edit all these in. What have I done?
I told you I wouldn't try adding more, but that's something you haven't been paying attention to. No, well, and you've probably seen the pictures. If you see pictures, don't be alarmed. He's used lots of makeup.
So much.
Anyway, thanks for listening to us, 2 Twits of the Ritwit, talking about prologues and stuff. We'll see you next week with more.
I'm Matt Donald.
And I'm Matt David. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep writing.
Keep writing.
The Ritwit.